Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hockey in the 313 podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brian, joined by Zach, Keegan, and Dayton. And for today's episode for the Hockey in the 313 podcast, we're going to be going over NHL playoff updates, including the series winners, series losers, what happened in them, and how do they benefit the Detroit Red Wings. We'll then be going over some Detroit Red Wings news as of late. This includes the World Championships, along with some head coaching information and maybe a potential new Red Wing coming out of the team, maybe. And then we're going to finish it off by Next Gen Prospects, a.k.a. Zach. We're going to do the prospect preview for Kashawn Aitcheson, one of the top defensive prospects in this upcoming draft in the Red Wings range. So with that, let's get started into Episode 8 of the Hockey in the 313 podcast. All right, guys. So let's start out with the NHL playoffs. Obviously, right now we have the Eastern Conference Finals going on between Carolina and Florida. Florida's currently winning right now. But let's backtrack and talk about the the semifinals for each conference. Starting off with arguably one of the most embarrassing ways to go out, let's talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Guys, Toronto loses again in a Game 7 where they just got flat out dominated. And when was the last time you heard that one? Every single time.
So, Game 7 was such a gong show.
It was so bad.
I just can't believe Florida was piling them on. Seth Jones had a legacy game. And Leafs just couldn't win their puck battles at all. I thought the ice was tilted all the way.
You know where that won't happen?
What?
When Mitch Marner joins the Red Wings. You won't have to worry about that.
But, yeah, I mean, just looking at their performance, like, you look at Florida, they came out with a bang. It looked like Florida was on a power play the whole first couple minutes, first 5-10 minutes, and then after that, they just took over. Seth Jones, a couple more role players. I think Lindell scored too. Yeah, just not a good look for the Leafs, especially when, they were riding a decent amount of momentum from Game 6, and you want to carry that over. And, I mean, obviously the biggest headline is, Game 7 chokers. They
Can't get it done in the playoffs.
couldn't get it done in the playoffs. But I think the biggest one is, that core four of Matthews, Nylander, and Tavares, and Morgan Riley. Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Riley. Like, that whole core. Talking about, hey, this has to be broken up, and also with Brendan Shanahan with his kind of job.
I think he's gone.
Oh, he's 100% gone. Like, I think he's. You look at how many years he's built it up. It's the Matthews era for a reason. But at some point you gotta pull the plug on at least management, or at least who's overseeing it, and. I think Shanahan has had enough time to try and turn things around and try and get the right people in. I think they have a decent amount of the right pieces, but I don't think that it's enough to get over that hump, especially for that team. And you just look at how the core four were playing. They didn't show up, they didn't produce when it mattered. They haven't produced since, I want to say, Game 2 of the second round, and it really shows. Like, they just lost all momentum. They look slower. And obviously, I believe if Stolarz was a little bit more healthier, that it would help them. But for the most part, that it was just dead in the water. You knew Florida was going to win it, and and then you got the Panthers players clowning the team.
Believe.
Yeah, I believe, and it's just at this point it's just a joke. Like you can't take it seriously because every year the same thing's gonna happen.
I will say though too. Sorry, I really liked William Nylander and Matthew Nyes. I thought those two were probably the only ones who showed up. Along with a little bit of a retro Max Pacioretty in between.
He looked really solid, so I would love for him to, come back.
Well, Pacioretty, I think I saw today that he said that he's not sure if he's going to keep playing after this year.
Oh, man.
I mean, yeah, he had I think an ACL injury a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting
Yeah.
old. I will say also too, I felt they were more comfortable under Stolars than Wool, and I
That's
thought
true.
Wool held his own at some games, but yeah, like they just couldn't win they just couldn't win their battles, and they kind of felt like they're playing kind of an old style of hockey.
Isn't that
They
how
need to
Blue
be
is?
more risky kind of. Like they were a little bit risky when it was 0-0, but then they kind of played too conservative after they gave up that one goal to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Then it just all fell apart.
Yeah.
Agreed. Um, I, I mean, man, it's just I was watching Steve Dangle a couple days ago, and just
His crash out.
I mean, it's just you look at his videos and you're expecting him to just absolutely lose it, and he does. But it's to the extent like it's every year, like it's just the same shit every year. It's like you almost want them to win just so it just doesn't keep happening. I mean, it's funny
No,
as
it's okay.
I mean, we are Red Wings fans, so yeah, makes sense.
I'm
But
always neutral towards the Leafs, but I like some of their players, but I mean, yeah, it's they can't get over the hump.
I can like some of the players, but I just
I
can't
don't
get
like
on
the
board.
fans.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Their fans are
Yes.
annoying.
I don't care. This is the subject that Steve Bang was talking about. He was saying like the fans lost them the series. Well, yes, no, they didn't. Your fans are as toxic as I was gonna say as toxic as Yankees fans, but I don't want to go that far. They're up there for some of the most toxic fans. But jumping into the next like section of like what this means for Toronto, what does this mean for Mitch Marner? What does this mean for John Scott? And I think that's a whole different can of worms if you go down the rabbit hole of Mitch Marner, which is why we're going to go down
Mm-hmm.
talking about him. Like, what do they do? What do they figuratively do with Mitch Marner?
I mean, judging by the exit interviews, I guess the stress of the Canadian media or whatever, he wants to leave or maybe.
Yeah,
But I mean,
there,
who knows? Yeah.
there's been a lot of reports of him wanting a fresh start
Mm-hmm.
as of recent, and I think there was just something that happened today or something that came out with a lot of the fans harassing him and his family, especially during that 2019 arbitration where he was trying to figure out a contract, but it's not a good look, and I mean, you look at how he was on the ice, he looked very distraught, very like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this is it. Like and even that the post game interview, he's like, hey, you took a gamble on a hometown kid, and you're forever for grateful. But it just seemed, and the vibe just seemed like I I loved it here, but it's time to move on. And I
It's
think,
over.
and it's funny because they tried moving him on from the trade deadline to get Rantanen, and obviously he didn't want to do that. So, I mean, they basically lost him for nothing, pretty
Yeah,
much.
that's
Which,
true.
in
Good point.
retrospect, they get the cap space, and they want to probably bring back Tavares. You look at what
I
he
think
can still
also.
do.
Well, I don't, you might bring it up, so if I'm stealing your thing, I'm sorry, but
No, go right ahead, man.
I think they'll also use it to bring back Matthew Nyes. So.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think they're more comfortable with bringing back Nice. I
Oh
think
yeah.
you look at his playing style; it's very gritty, very get in the corners, battle in the corners, but also he has a good side of scoring and playmaking. So I think they want to move in the direction of paying someone a little bit younger than paying a guy who's a little bit more older and a little bit has had time to maybe produce a little bit more, and it just hasn't worked in the regular season, absolutely. But when it comes to playoffs, it just has not worked. And for a bigger market, you expect more out of your players, and especially in Toronto.
And
Yeah.
it was just also with the value of Nyes. Again, I think there was a rumor that he was possibly going to be in a Rantanen trade.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I think I saw that somewhere.
Be a
I
massive
think
overpay
Freed.
for Toronto.
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
have been.
But
I
yeah,
mean
for
they.
Nice too, he almost had 60 points as well. So
Huh.
I
and
He's
mean,
a guy
still,
that he's a guy that if Toronto doesn't have the cap space to re-sign
mm,
him and he goes to RFA, I think you should certainly look at jumping into the RFA status and looking at him. I'm not trying to steal like any content from the Wingfield podcast, but they made a very good point in the fact that if you want to get an RFA, you're going to have to massively overpay for them because if you're going to look at
mm-hmm.
that's in Toronto's area, they're strapped to the cap. Like if you go out there and give him what he's worth, like if you go out there and pay him $4.5 to $5 million, the Leafs will be able to match that. You saw this with Holloway and Broberg last year. You saw this with Kotkaniemi. They give them that like big influx of money, and then they bring like they say, okay, we'll put you on a 1 year deal worth $7 million, let's say, and then your extension, if you want to stay here long term, will be a little bit like less money, but you get paid more down the line. I think that's the direction. If Nyes goes to RFA and Marner's asking for north of 14 million, I think you jump on the gun if you're not going to go after Ehlers or Besser, which I highly doubt. Steve Yzerman isn't going to go after one of those big three. But in this case, that if you whiff on those guys, try Matthew Nyes, try the RFA route. So yeah, I definitely agree. Like Matthew Nyes could be a perfect guy that slot into your maybe middle six, even so top six. And I mean, you look at the guys that you're paying in free agency right now, and I mean, they're in their prime right now. Well, Matthew Nyes, if you go after him and you extend him, you're getting him before and during his prime of that contract.
Yeah, and he fits the timeline too of age. Like they're always looking for that 20 to 26-year-old type. Sometimes I feel like that fits the timeline of Yzerman a little bit. Where having a younger guy, maybe having a little bit more experience, and he provides a little bit more in the corners and playmaking. So they could be definitely an option, but obviously everything happens on July 1st for the most part. So it's a wait and see thing, which kind of sucks because you're like, man, I really wish who was going where, or it got leaked or something like that.
The thing that's gonna suck is like a couple hours beforehand, you're gonna see like every big name, or maybe not every big name, but most of the big names get signed before the.
Well, last year I feel like that was a bit not very normal. Like you don't usually see all the big names get leaked that early.
Yeah, there's. I guess didn't like Friedman say there was like tampering? I guess because I know
right.
I think we heard about Gensel the day before it happened with Tampa.
Right. Yeah, and then we had like the Brady Shea, the Marchessault, Stamkos, all those big contracts like way before 12.
Mm-hmm. But I swear, like even before that, like I'm gonna be up in what's it called, Mount Pleasant again this summer for the 4th of July, so I might be up there July 1st too, or I might be down here. I don't know. But I swear 2 years ago when I was up there, I just kept checking my phone, and then free agent after free agent after free agent after free agent was going. So, I mean, it happened the year before that. Like, think about Andrew Kopp. Like, remember how, like, 5 players got leaked before? Like, it was at, like, 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. Like, that just...
It's insane.
The majority of the big free agents will be already negotiated with before the time starts.
I want to add, too, is... for free agency a couple years ago when we had that pretty massive free agency with like Ghost and Confer and obviously getting DeBrincat.
Oh God!
I was at a wedding in Mackinac, so we were going to the island because it was like a kind of weird destination thing. I was on the boat and I didn't have any service, and I get off the boat. I look on Instagram, I shit you not, we signed James Reimer and Justin Hall, and I'm like, can I just go back in the water? I'll jump in the lake. like it was that bad. But my grandpa was next to me too. He's like, I mean, he said some very questionable words, but to sum it up, he's just like, man, these guys suck. I don't know what he was thinking.
If that's the case, like I swear, I even told my dad, I'm like, if we're anticipating this free agency to be big, and then Steve Yzerman goes out there and signs Cody C, I'm sorry, but I'm giving up fandom. I'm not, I will not watch Justin Hall, Eric Gustafson, Ben Sherratt, and Cody CC all in the same defensive pair.
Oh God!
Nope.
I will switch to any other fan. I'm telling you that right now. But
Back to Vegas we go.
Bar down, Red Wing, no more.
I'll change to like freaking bar down, like
Vegas.
Change back to your Griffins account.
Well, the Griffins aren't even exactly doing great either, so...
Oh, yeah.
Damned if I do, damned if I don't. All right, so for this next series kind of we're going to talk about Edmonton and Vegas. So a little bit of a, like, surprising series. Like, I kind of feel like with the way Edmonton's, like, goaltending struggles were looking towards the end of round 1, we're like, all right, Edmonton's going into this very, very shaky. But Stuart Skinner in the last 2 games rolls a shutout, back-to-back shutouts against Vegas, and Vegas is knocked out in 5 games, which Vegas, I mean, like a lot of people weren't expecting them to be like the first seed in the Pacific Division, yet they were. But just 5 games, like just Edmonton, I think really woke up, and I think getting into like the future of this, like these 4 teams are some of the teams that like it's going to be some damn good, exciting hockey. You got Florida, always been electric. Carolina, say what you want about them, they're boring, whatever. I mean, they are, but hopefully they'll match Carolina to some extent. Besides tonight, because they're down 4-1. But yeah, I mean that the Eastern Conference looks good, and then I mean Dallas is probably my cup favorite to win right now, and then Edmonton, we know like if they're on their heater, they're a damn good team, and it showed in this series against Vegas. So, have you guys like watched anything from that other than like just the whole Stuart Skinner and their goaltending situations?
I think their offense picked up a bit too. Like you look at like their depth scoring and stuff. I think they had a lot of unsung heroes, and especially in Game 5 in overtime with a former Leaf Jesperi Kapanen.
Yeah.
So yeah, just I think a lot of their bottom 6 woke up. I mean, obviously Evander Kane, you get a guy like that coming back, whether you like him or not, he's very provides a lot, and obviously McDavid, Draisaitl are gonna do their thing, but not too much. And then you look, I think honestly, looking at Vegas, they just looked tired. They looked out of breath, and then the biggest thing for them, Aiden Hill just did not. Was not
I thought he
on
showed
it.
up Game 5 at least, but yeah.
Yeah, but
some softies.
He just looked out of position. He looked very out of it. Like just was not making crucial saves when it mattered, and it really showed. And Vegas was really trying, but I think also they were missing. I think Stone, and I don't think a lot of other guys were 100%. But that's kind of the price you pay for when you kind of go all in every year and get certain guys. But I mean, props to Edmonton. I mean, you look at what happened in the LA series where goaltending wasn't a strength, and coming back now, Pickard gets injured, and then Stuart Skinner kind of redeems himself a little bit. She kind of starts showing up, getting a little bit more hot. So it's going to be very interesting for the conference finals. But I think with a little bit of break, maybe they might rotate Pickard and Skinner depending on the situation. But
I mean, we're praising Stuart Skinner right now. Next thing you know, he's that against Dallas next game.
Most likely.
I know what you said about like Edmonton's depth. How about that vintage showing of Corey Perry? I think Game 3,
God,
2 goals, and then Henrique did the same thing the next game. Wow.
Yeah. I was gonna say Corey Perry's been on that first pairing with McDavid and Draisaitl, which is hilarious because it's like the dude's almost in his mid 40s. Like,
is he gonna continue his cup streak or finally win one again?
Remember when that was the thing?
It still is a thing.
Oh yeah, that's right, because he lost last year. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Bro's been through the ringer.
Yeah.
I feel like a good way to put Vegas, like how you said they look slow, is them being older now.
I mean, they don't got a lot
Stone
of
was also out too. I think that hurt their defense. And
Who was?
I thought Stone.
He was hurt.
Out. I think game 5 or 4 and 5. I think.
Oh, I thought you said someone on defense was hurt.
Oh
no.
Okay, I was gonna say
maybe Pacioretty was too, or I think he played. I forgot, but yeah, and also Eichel just got his ankles taken by McDavid on that
was hilarious
overtime goal.
Jeez.
It just shows how McDavid and Draisaitl, they can easily take over a game for the Oilers.
I mean, that's why they're the best players in the world.
All right, so that was the Edmonton-Vegas series. Not a lot to report there. I feel like this was just a straight up, if you watched the highlights, you knew how the series went down. Nothing a lot in depth. Before we get into the next, or the big one, I kind of want to touch up on Washington and Carolina. You guys all have to look me in the eye and tell me you did not watch a single full game of this series.
I actually did a little bit towards the end.
You poor thing.
I feel bad for you.
My condolences.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
sorry for you, Zach.
with regards to Carolina, I mean, I thought it was interesting. I like the way how they were able to keep the puck in their in the offensive zone, and the way they've been blocking shots and taking up passing lanes. My only problem with them is I'm not really liking the way how they're a heavy perimeter shooting team. I wish they would get more in the scoring areas, but I mean, that's just Rod Brindamore's style, and they've been working. Also, Svechnikov has been a huge impact, I guess, the last two series, because I think he had 4 goals in each of them.
He's been rebounding pretty well. But, I mean, kind of touching on Carolina, they've always been a very more defensive-minded team, especially with Brindamore's system. But the problem with that is you get very, 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 very boring hockey, and it shows. I mean, the Capitals, they're a lot older of a team too. So you match an older team with a very defensive-minded team, you're getting probably the most boring hockey ever.
Ovi was pretty disappointing, but I mean, yeah.
I mean, his age, and you look at that core. I mean, they're a lot of older guys, and I think this whole season was pretty much just about Ovi breaking the goal record. I mean, if they went pretty far in the playoffs, you'd consider it a win just because it's like, hey, they got to the playoffs. Ovi broke the goal record. Like, that's all that really matters.
Carberry's also a very good coach, I would add, and Logan Thompson definitely stood on his head a couple of times as well.
Dylan Strome.
Yeah. And I thought Beauvillier was not that bad, but
he looked really solid at a little bit of a depth signing too, I think.
He's gonna get overpaid for his playoffs.
That's a playoff tax, yep.
Oh my God, yeah.
I was gonna say, like, if he was gonna be a name that if he just looked like a good bottom 6 contributor in the playoffs, I would not have mind picking him up. I think someone in our lineup mocks picked him. I think it was
that was me.
Oh no, it was Zach. That's right. Yeah, I wouldn't mind picking up Beauvillier, but now, like Dayton said, with him sticking out in the playoffs, I think he's going to go something I don't want to pay for a bottom 6er.
Probably highest, maybe 3.5 maybe. But I mean,
I wouldn't want to do that for a bottom 6er.
Maybe for a year. I don't know.
Even with the cap going up, I feel like that might be normal.
Well, I don't think he'd be asking for 3.5, especially with how he played. I think he'd be north of the $4 million.
Yeah, probably.
You can scoff at the price, but I mean, you look at people that got overpaid in the past for being a bottom 6. Ben Sherratt. Sorry.
Oh my God.
So that's just my opinion on it. I mean, maybe he gets paid that much, maybe he gets paid less. I don't know, but that's my prediction, is that he's going to get heavily overpaid. So, okay. So that was the Washington-Carolina series. Now we're going to talk about probably one of the best series in the playoffs, Dallas and Winnipeg. Winnipeg finished off St. Louis in Game 7 on an OT win. Watched that game. That was incredible. And then they had to play Dallas, who's been a juggernaut this entire playoffs, on the backs of Mikko Rantanen and Jake Ottinger. I mentioned it before, and I'm sure Brendan is thrilled right now, but like Dallas is a wagon. Like, everything's going right for them. They just got Miro Heiskanen back off of IR. Thomas Harley's been playing like a dog. Ottinger's been a brick wall between the pipes. Robertson, Hintz, Granlund, Rantanen, as I mentioned,
Sagan,
all those guys. Like, just, you look at this team and there's no weakness. So
it's their year.
I hope so. Yeah,
it's their year. And I mean, honestly, I shouldn't even say that. They still probably have more to go. Like, they can.
Oh yeah.
A couple years. So, props to them. Props to Jim Nill. Love seeing a former Red Wing executive making it out. But Dallas wins in Game 6 off an OT winner from a blast from the point from Thomas Harley. And just would like to possibly say props to Winnipeg. You got to feel for Mark Scheifele, too. Like,
I wanted to add that.
Yeah.
They paid him.
Heavy heart.
He was and just as soon as like that goal went in, I'm watching this, I'm like, man, that dude did everything in his power to carry this team after the loss of his dad. So
yeah, and I want to point out too is the Stars owner, once the game was
Oh
over,
yeah.
got his private jet straight to or I think Ontario, wherever his family's based, get him
That's
right
great.
home
Yeah.
to his family. And that's hockey. That's why hockey's the best sport. Is everyone very selfless, very caring, very understanding, and how can you not love that? Just the community rallying around him, and even Dallas Stars fans donating to the I forgot the True North charity,
Mhm.
the $55. So I mean, obviously props to Mark Scheifele, props to playing with a really really heavy heart. I think we can all agree that's not something anybody wants to go through personally. So I think you know that one was for his dad, 100%.
I
It
don't
was
know.
also pretty great to see, Dallas at the handshake line. They're all like hugging Shifley, and I saw like a post somewhere, like the epitome of playoff hockey. You see Jamie Benn sucker punching Shifley, I think after game 5, and then there
Right.
was a picture of them hugging. So
Yeah.
yeah, all of our
And
hearts go to
that's something
Shifley.
that
So
it's,
yeah.
like, like you hate people that are on the other side of the ice. Like I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
Toronto hates Brad Marchand. Like at the end all be all, like we're all humans, we're all hockey players. Like you may hate the guy, but I mean you're there for them when they need it most. I think that's a clear thing. Like playoff hockey is brutal. Like there's a ton of tension. There's a ton of
Yeah.
fighting, battling, blood, scars, sweat, tears, all of the above. And just after a simple little handshake and just saying good game and just hope you win it for us. It's just why hockey's quite literally, like Keegan said, the best sport, the most classman sport. But yeah, so Dallas Stars, juggernaut of a team. Jets were also a very, very good team, but just they still had some holes on the roster, and they probably are going to have to do some work in the offseason replacing some of those said holes, including
Mm-hmm.
Eli Ehlers, who as Red Wings fans we're going to try and pounce on the opportunity to get.
Red Wing, come help us, save us, Nikolai Ehlers.
So yeah,
Just sorry, just quickly on the Jets. I've always been sort of kind of a big fan because I've really liked their fan base, the whiteout. They're going
That's cool.
crazy, and it's just been really frustrating seeing them fail. They're kind of a small market team. They have, I think they have the lowest populated arena in the NHL, and yeah, I wonder if they decide to take a step back or something. Because
do a little.
I still feel like they have a young core going on. I like Kieran Walton, who they just drafted, Brad Lambert, who's been in the AHL for a while. So
They
I
got
mean,
young
who knows?
pieces,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to also add too. The only reason I cheer for Winnipeg is because they stole Thrashers from me.
Yeah.
So very unfortunate, but I love Winnipeg, but very unfortunate that I lost one of my favorite teams. So
Well, you might be in luck because I mean there were rumblings about Atlanta.
I'm praying,
Yeah.
like I am desperately praying that it comes to fruition, because I will. That might be the best day ever.
All right, so that was the playoff updates, and right now, like we said, Dallas and Edmonton in the West, Florida and Carolina in the East, and I just got the alert for it. Florida beat the Hurricanes 4-1. Marchand sounded like he was ejected from the game.
In a fight.
I'm not gonna lie, fellas. It's either gonna be Florida in Edmonton or Dallas. I'm hoping that it's a Florida Dallas because that would be absolute pure cinema in my opinion.
Yeah. I have a
But
weird feeling it's going to be a rematch. Let's maybe take it back to the 0809 Red Wings Penguins. How epic was
be
that
fine.
was.
That'd be fine with me. I would
I
love
think
to.
this might be
And
the
I
most
hope if
watched.
that happens, I hope it's like a 6 or 7 game series.
It's going to 7, 100%.
Say that
I
again,
mean,
Zach.
there's.
Say that again. Going into games what? Six or seven.
Oh my God.
Surprised you guys didn't catch on.
Bruh.
But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm rooting for any Stanley Cup final. I mean, yeah, I don't like the Hurricanes, how boring they are, but I mean, I still would pull for them to make the playoffs, but they'd probably be the team that I like, the fourth team that I want. In my opinion, I think it goes Florida, Dallas, Florida, Edmonton, Dallas, Carolina, Carolina, Edmonton.
That'd be a rematch of 06, 07?
Yeah, I think 07.
Oh, the
Or
Edmonton, Carolina
actually,
one.
that was 06. After
Yeah,
the
it was
lockout.
06.
Was it 06 or 05?
That was after the lockout. 06.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah. So yeah,
But yeah.
all right, guys, that was the NHL playoffs. We're gonna jump into our next section. We're gonna be talking about some Red Wings news as of late. It's kind of bleak as we're in the late stages of the off season. We're not gonna get a lot of Red Wings news until the draft. But until then, we're gonna look at the World Champion Series. There's some Red Wings that are making some eye-popping headlines right now. I have 5 players that I have really liked so far throughout the World Champion Series. I have Lucas Raymond at the top of my list in 6 games played. He has 2 goals, 6 assists for 7 points, 8 points. I then have Marco Kasper in 6 games played, has 4 goals, 1 assist for 5 points. I have Eric Gustafsson. Yep,
I forgot about him.
Mm.
in 6 games played, he has 6 assists for 6 points.
Wow.
He's back.
Mm-hmm. Moritz Seider has 0 goals and 1 assist in 6 games played, but I mean that Germany team is. I mean, it's quite really just Seider.
Well, I think
Actually,
Germany,
they've been just
yeah.
they didn't make the quarterfinal. Yeah.
Right. So that's in my opinion, that's a
He
team
did win
goal.
player of the game though, I think, today.
He did. I think he had an assist, I think.
I checked. He didn't. I didn't say anything.
I also
Okay.
saw him just absolutely obliterate Will Smith like the on the
Yeah, with
boards, like-
Stützle too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then finally MBN had 3 assists for 3
Oh yeah, I
points.
forgot he was there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know.
He's been playing a lot of hockey, I guess, recently.
And
He
then
looks really good though.
Mhm.
2 assists and 2 points. So some Red Wings doing pretty good, especially Eric Gustafsson. I don't think anyone could imagine this dude has 6 assists. Bro,
Honestly, for him, I feel like if he wasn't stuck with Justin Hall the whole year, I feel like he would have been a lot better. I mean, obviously he's an offensive defenseman, so you're not going to have much defense, but
I can agree with that. I think.
I did agree he kind of showed up on the power play at points.
yeah,
Like,
on
I
the power play,
remember.
he actually has some good puck movement.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was right when we hired McClellan. You know, he had some pretty good assists.
Yeah, he was a big part, but I think the ones that stand out are, obviously Lucas Raymond, doing what he's doing. Seider just kind of not more so producing points, but doing a lot defensively and a lot of his big hits. But Marco Kasper is a big name. You've seen a couple of his highlight goals from the international tournaments. I get
It looks
excited.
like he's kind of play driving a little bit. I need to watch more of a little bit more of that.
I was just about to say that he's been play driving a little bit more, so I'm really excited for that because a lot of confidence with that, and obviously how he ended last year with the stretch that he went on, looking really solid. How can you not think that he's our future 2C? So
Yeah.
I just can't wait to see like Raymond in the playoffs. We need it immediately.
We need our entire team in the damn playoffs.
Hell yeah.
Let's not kid ourselves here.
Mhm.
very much so. It's getting depressing over here. A lot of rainy days here.
About ready to change my name to Depressing Bar Down Red Wings. But yeah, that's the World Champions update. Something I kind of wanted to add. Like Keegan said, Casper, man, like he's everything we've hoped he's been. Like I don't want to jinx him yet because there is that sophomore slump. But for everyone who's questioning his offensive upside and saying, "Oh, it's not there," I think last season in the World Champions Series right now is proving his offense is perfectly fine. I can't remember who mentioned it in the group chat, but someone was saying that he could possibly be a good Selkie candidate in the future. I kind of batted my eye at.
Maybe it can. I don't know.
It's all.
You look at who's running the Selkie right now. It's like Barkov and
Hischer's been finalist.
Shire, yeah. So,
Eichel as well.
I will say one name or a player I've really liked who's been pretty performing in a lot of different ways is MBN. I think he obviously he has his three assists.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Driving play. I think he's really driving plays. He's had a couple of good hits too. I mean, obviously, I think one got him suspended or kicked out of the game, but
Yeah, that was
um,
fun.
So stupid.
he looks really good. It was almost like Cronwall-esque hit.
Yeah, did you see
But
that Snyder one?
yeah, I think he was there too. But
Yeah.
oh, that reminds me, there was something that Edvinson said about
Yeah,
Cronwall.
I saw that interview. I think Dane posted on his story, if I'm not
Yeah, and
mistaken.
Yeah.
whereas like, sometimes not getting noticed is the best thing, and doing everything right helps a lot. And I think he takes the next step next year too. But I think he has a full year under his belt. He knew what to expect. I think he's not going to be broken up as much, I would say, from Cider next year. So I mean, everything can change, but I would hope they keep that Cider and Edvinson pairing going, just because of how offensively gifted that pairing is, like, and very defensive aware as well too. But I understand, wanting to break that up, and I think
I hope they
Ed,
don't.
I don't think they will, but I think Edvinson, he understands his role, and he understands what the team needs, and he's going to do everything in his power to be the guy that the team can rely on in defensive situations, but also in offensive situations, maybe on power play 2 next year, or even power play 1, because I know he got some reps towards the end of the year on that as well.
I would have
Yep.
liked him on the power play more, but yeah.
Yeah.
Something that I'd like to add about MBN real quick, talking about his contributing to points and goal scoring. You look at his production for the 3 games that the Griffins had during the series against Texas. He had 2 goals, 1 assist,
Yeah.
3 points, 3 games, which, I mean, it's in 3 games, very small sample size, but another case where, I mean, that offensive upside can be there. So hopefully he gets a good year under his belt in Grand Rapids next season, along with ASP. But yeah, just I think all around a very good showing from the Red Wings players here at the World Champions Series. Okay, so we're going to touch up on this next topic, which I think a lot of Red Wings fans are split 50-50 on this guy. Jeff Blashill. He's been out in a couple teams for their head coaching candidates, most obviously Chicago. It sounds like he's a finalist and could be the next head coach for Chicago. And then a dark horse team is potentially Boston, who had him as an interview, but for right now, it seems like the tides are shifting for him to be the next head coach.
I thought it was Seattle, that interview.
Yeah.
No, he had a Boston one too.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
my
right, he
God.
did. Yeah, I forgot about that.
2 original 6 teams? Jeez.
It seems, I mean, say what you want about the guy. I mean, I don't like him personally, but I can accept a man who does his work in the NHL. He had a terrible roster to deal with. He wasn't. I will say he wasn't dealt the right cards, but he also didn't do much to
With
fix
them.
the situation. So you can kind of pinpoint Blashill in being the reason why some players, especially the prospects, I'd like to point out, like look at a guy like Cholowski, look at a guy like Zadina.
No.
I mean, yeah, Zadina was a bust, but I'm just more so saying like prospects under head coaches have to fit your system. If they don't fit your system, they're not going to succeed. And we see that with Malone. And Casper wasn't looking good. Neither was Johansson. In comes Todd McClellan, the two thrive in his system. So I just don't think he was a great coach. But again, he wasn't dealt with the best cards. So he goes back to Tampa, fills in for, funny enough, fills in for Derek Malone's assistant coach spot. Goes on under the, why am I blanking on his name? John Cooper. John Cooper's coaching tree. And it's certainly bad an eye to everyone, including Chicago, Boston, and Seattle, which again, Chicago is the team that's favored to land him. Guys' thoughts on Jeff Blashill, potential 6 rival between Chicago or Boston, most likely Chicago. And yeah, just your guys' thoughts.
I think he might be a little bit of meh. Like, I don't know. I've been a little bit annoyed. That's another like cookie cutter head coach, like the head coach carousel with the NHL or whatever. And I also heard like some Tampa fans are, or they might be a little bit annoyed with him how they ran the power play because, well, Tampa's power play was pretty disappointing in the playoffs. So, I mean, he might be like a lame duck coach potentially. I don't know for like a Chicago or
That's a
Florida
really weird choice for
or
them.
not Florida. What?
I I want to add this is he is not a good head coach, but he's a good assistant. But he also and this is just my opinion. Whoever you agree, he only got hired by Tampa because he's John Cooper's buddy. They've done like several
Agreed.
hockey schools, this, that, and the other.
Yep.
If you're Chicago, this is a horrible hire on so many levels. And poor Bertuzzi, man, having to deal
Oh
with
my God,
having
I
to deal
saw
with
that.
Jeff Blashill again. He just got away from him. Yeah, if I was Bedard, I would be so beyond pissed because this guy, you've seen what he's done with Detroit, and granted, like Brian said,
Hey, he's the last one to bring us to the playoffs.
okay,
Yeah,
he made Datsuk leave.
That's like Brad Ausmus bringing the Tigers to the playoffs in 2014.
jeez.
But anyway, yeah, not a very big. I mean, you look at the systems he runs, dump and chase. That doesn't work in the NHL anymore. And
Where have we heard that before?
Unless you're Florida, I'll say.
That's funny.
I mean, because you can execute it because they get it. So I will say this: the teams that can execute a dump and chase really well are teams that have players that when you dump it, you're going straight after it, and you're just
Those gritty hard, like
yeah,
forechecking players.
yeah. That other teams can't adapt to that because no player wants to get hurt or do that anymore. And you saw that with a lot of Red Wings teams and a lot of teams under Blashill and under Derek Lalonde. So if I am Chicago, this is
He doesn't make sense.
a fucking horrible hire, and this is not a long term solution at all. This. I mean, it's kind of like a cookie cutter head coach and a recycling. I just don't think he has a good caliber he had a lot of good or he was in Detroit.
Yes.
He was just
I love how
there.
he choked up 3 times. He was a good. He was a Detroit coach.
He was
Yeah.
Detroit. He was a coach.
He was a
And
We're a team.
We're a team.
We're-
Nope. But yeah, it's just not a good hire all around, and I don't think he deserves another chance because you've seen, he's going to the same situation he would with Detroit, a rebuilding team, not a lot of pieces, maybe not a lot of good I mean, Chicago has a lot of good, decent amount of prospects, but not like a.
Eh.
I said decent, not great,
Well, yeah.
but.
I
There's
mean, we'll
no-
see, I guess, too. Well, I thought, what's his name, John Hines, was a kind of a mid coach as well. Like,
Oh yeah, that was a
I
bad.
really like how he ran New Jersey, and now
What team is he on now?
Minnesota. I don't know if that's more of Minnesota's doing or.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Nope,
yeah.
Minnesota got
I think
hurt.
it was because Minnesota Hockey
Yeah.
Authority doesn't really like him. He liked the coach beforehand.
Oh, Evans, yeah. Evanson.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah,
But-
Columbus'
Yep.
coach.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Hey,
that's-
I mean, talk about that turning everything around in a season. They got a lot of good pieces with their young core, but I mean going on back to Chicago. Hey, if you hire Jeff Blashill,
As a-
easy W when Kane comes back. Easy
as
W's.
Red Wings fans, we are going to laugh the ever-loving hell out of your fan base, and we're going to give you all the shit because your team is. I mean, again, I express my hatred towards Blashill, but it's because of like the way he runs it. Now, is there a chance, a very slim chance, that hey, this guy does well in Chicago? Yes.
No.
Is it likely? No. So until he proves me wrong, until this guy turns Connor Bedard into a 100-point scorer, he turns Frank Nazar into a 30-goal scorer, he turns Korchinski into a top 2 defensive player, he turns Arvid Soderblom into a highly touted goalie. I'm going to be laughing at every Chicago fan face and saying, "You guys are going to be built for another 9 years.
Yeah, they're like in worst territory possible in the sense of really crummy head coaches, really crummy front office.
Their GM, man, is it still Kyle Davison?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
still is.
You guys
I'm
are
a little
looking.
bit up and down with him with his
No, I don't.
draft
I
He's
philosophy
been
last
horrible.
year,
like him.
and yeah, the Taylor Hall thing was I thought a little bit
That was
botched.
weird. Yeah, I mean, he's gonna try everything in his power to save his job this summer, and I mean, I mean, how funny would it be if Blashill got hired and Bertuzzi's like, I'm done. I'm not staying here.
That would be
Bring
pretty funny, but
Let's bring him back to Detroit, please.
Oh, one thing I want to say about Blashill too, real quick. I remember, like after an interview, he said, like, "Oh, one of my daughters was saying like weird flex, but okay." I remember like it was on a weird NHL clip.
Oh yeah, I
You know,
think that
those
was their
those.
COVID season.
Um, it might have been before maybe or
No, it
maybe
was during
19.
COVID.
Some I don't know. Yeah,
All right, so that was
it's
the news.
weird.
Sorry, Zach.
There you go.
So that was the news about Jeff Blashill and potentially a new head coaching job. As you mentioned, we're gonna laugh in everybody's face, wherever he goes to, Chicago. How funny it would be for a Red Sox rival to hire, getting our sloppy seconds from Jeff Blashill. But we're gonna transition now into a potential name that we could see for the Red Wings here. Nothing's guaranteed, although I would personally like this guy. So it was reported a couple days ago, Maxime Comtois, former second-round pick in 2017 of the Anaheim Ducks, was linked to a return to the NHL, more specifically the Detroit Red Wings after playing a year in the KHL for the Moscow Dynamo. In 60 games played for the Dynamo, he had 21 goals, 29 assists for 50 points last season. I would like to mention that Comtois is involved in the Team Canada sexual assault cases, but I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's more of just a stand-hold witness.
I think it.
Yeah.
I think that is, but I did want to mention that I think that is something that I think a lot of teams are gonna take some consideration to maybe sign him. Maybe that's a big.
I think with what Ryan said, he mentioned this. I don't think Dayton was mentioned, but Ryan said he kind of wanted to wait to see like what happens with the sexual assault case to see if he's involved. But judging by the whole text and everything, I don't think Comtois was fully involved. But yeah, so obviously, like I said, Comtois. I mean, personally, and this is just not because he was linked to the Red Wings. Oh, I already like this guy. No, I mean, I played NHL 18 and 19 and 20, and like I was like, this dude's kind of good. And then noticed in real life he kind of dipped in production. He signed with Vegas, and then he just kind of went back to the KHL. But I mean, looking at this right now, I mean, 21 goals, 29 assists, 50 points last year for him. I mean, if he was a bottom sixer for us, like something
Not
that I think the
too
Red Wings,
bad.
yeah, if you shake up that bottom six core, I mean, I think you could start with this guy. I mean, if he flops, then whatever. But I mean, I think if you're going to look up to shake something up in the offseason in your bottom six, because the Red Wings desperately need goal scoring, I mean, maybe take a guy on Maxime Comtois, take a flyer on him.
He seems like a guy that also depends very much on his offense. Like obviously McClellan's system is a little bit more offensively. I mean, in the offensive zone, it's a little bit more, you know, gives players a little bit more time and space to do what they would like. But he also expects a lot of players to play a very sound defense too. Like, hey, back check, block shots, this and that. So, I mean, I'm all for it, but I would also really, really want to just wait until after this whole Team Canada stuff, because, I mean, obviously, we're not too, I mean, we know he was an eyewitness, but, you just want to make sure you're not signing a POS,
I will say also. Oh, sorry.
If we were to sign him, I don't know how I would feel about it, because that would probably take a spot of like Mazer or something. So.
Yeah, that's another big thing too, is just, what young guys do we feel like are ready? Is it a Lombardi? Is it a Mazer who played one game and had like 40 seconds of ice time? or is it like a guy like Miss Lombardi who comes up and really surprises people in training camp? So people are fighting for jobs, and that's the great thing about
Hmm.
our prospect system is we got a lot of guys that could be fighting for spots this year for the bottom six at least.
I will say a little bit also. I I'm pretty sure he led the Ducks in scoring. I think the 2021 season with like 31 points in 51 games, and I mean that Ducks team was boring as hell. So I thought he was like maybe the only bright spot, but
I'm just not sure
I mean,
what
who knows?
dealt him to like kind of fall off a cliff. I don't know if it was just lack of production or just something
I
happened.
want to add to he is 26 years old.
Oh,
That I mean, could
I
be
thought he'd
worse.
be a little older.
Yeah, it could be a hell of a lot worse.
Hmm.
His last NHL season, I have this up right now, is uh he in the 23-24 season he signed with Carolina. He had one goal or
Yeah, I
one
forgot
game
that.
played, one assist, and then he got sent down to the AHL, which 65 games, 19 goals, 25 assists for 44 points.
Yeah, I thought he was kind of big on that Chicago Wolves team. Maybe.
So we'll see.
Didn't that team win the Calder Cup too?
I think so,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Mhm.
but I mean, obviously he's pretty good in the AHL, and I mean, hey, if it doesn't work out in Detroit or something like that, you send him, depending on his contract, league
Yeah,
minimum, whatever, you can send him down to Grand Rapids and
just sign him to like maybe bury that cap if he doesn't play well. It's no big.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you're not worried about it. Plus, it helps Grand Rapids a little bit with experience and
Mm.
scoring.
Okay, so we're gonna take time to move to our next section and our final section. We're gonna start our new series up until the draft. With every episode, we're gonna be doing a prospect preview. Today we started out with Barrie Colts defenseman Kashawn Aitcheson. Zach likes Aitcheson very, very much. He always tells me, "Man, this guy is the Red Wings pick." 64 games played. Aitcheson had 26 goals, 33 assists for 59 points for Barrie last season. Right now, as I check Elite Prospects, he's ranked as high as 12 and ranked as low as 37, but he is in kind of that late teens, early 20s range. But you know how highly sought after defensemen are in drafts, especially right. I think he's a right-handed defenseman. Zach, can you quote me on that?
Left-handed,
Left-handed.
but he's also played on the right side a couple of times.
Okay. Some notes that I've written down, and this is just me just blabbering. Zach will definitely have a lot more for this one. I put down Kashawn Aitcheson as a great skater. He's fast moving. He's physical at 6 feet, which is kind of impressive for being only 6 foot. He's a two-way defenseman that can chip in offense here and there. And yeah, Zach, what do you have for Kashawn Aitcheson?
So yeah, with Aitchison, I'm a little bit, I guess, so and so with him. I know there's a lot of, I guess, some scouts are ranking him maybe top 10 as some of this like great defenseman or whatever. Right now in my mind, I kind of have him maybe late 20s, just because I feel like I know he's been kind of painted out as like a big physical defenseman, but I've kind of noticed a little bit in some games he's not thrown like a lot of hits. But I mean, that could also mean to mention like some situations he wouldn't really need to like get in and take a hit or whatever. But yeah, 6'1" left-handed defenseman. He also plays on the right side, and I would say his like go-to shot is that one-timer. I'd say he's probably has one of the hardest shots in this draft because I think he can really sling it. Uh, and he also had like kind of a clutch goal in the playoffs for Barrie against Kingston, where it was like I think the only goal in the game, or maybe it was
Oh wow.
maybe it was the second goal of the game or whatever. But yeah, uh, in regards to like Kashawn's defense, obviously, like I said, like the physicality, he can throw a lot of open ice hits. And one thing I want to like take it back to was at the CHL Prospects game where he absolutely obliterated LJ Moody, and that kind of hurt me a little bit because I'm a huge LJ Mooney fan, and he just came back from injury. But yeah, he's also had a few of open assists as well. I think he also had one on Michael Misa in the OHL prospect game.
Hmm.
So shoot, sorry.
No,
Is
you're
he
good. No worries.
huh?
With well, yeah, like he's also good at, I think, boxing out players in front of the net. Like it makes them hard for the offense to kind of get settled, like in the slot. Like when I played wing, I remember like trying to fight over a defenseman, or whatever. They're always boxing you out, and I think he
Right.
does a good job at that.
So
With
is he
regards to,
like a
oh
defensive
sorry,
defenseman, or like a two-way?
I mean I would say so. I think with skating, I think his skating got a lot better. I saw a couple of clips from the his D-1 where he would have kind of a choppy stride. He would be like going, then stop a little bit, then going or
Right.
whatever. And then I kind of like some parts where he would join the rush, or some clips I've seen where he joins the rush and he's kind of getting a little bit faster,
Right.
gaining a little bit feet or whatever.
Yeah.
Defensively though, I would see like I think he could maybe use like that extra stride sometimes, like because he would, he's 6'1", he would have that that like large reach or whatever.
Right.
He'd I think he would only do that first, like I think he would just kind of get that extra footwork in,
Yeah,
and I think he could.
that can be like learned or taught and stuff. 'Cause I
Yeah.
remember like Rasmussen wasn't a good skater, and
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a lot better now. So like yeah, that can be taught.
But yeah, I'd say he's mostly like a north-south skater. That's gonna be his bread and butter skating wise, and I wouldn't say he's like that agile yet. Maybe he
Hmm.
can. And I also like to hopefully you can see like kind of regain his or refine his puck management as well. And yeah, like I said with Kashawn, in regards to like moving the puck, I like the way how he kind of scans around the puck. He's always, or sorry, the ice. Like he's
Okay.
looking for
Yeah.
guys wherever, like who to pass to or whatever, making the right read or whatever.
So he's got like good vision, I'm guessing then.
I think I would say so from the game I watched earlier. It was like a late March game. Like he would mostly be like the guy behind the back of the net, always trying to
Yeah.
get it out. But I mean, I wouldn't say he's like a guy who would be good at controlling zone entries. I think he's really good in the dump and chase. And actually, in the game I watched, he dumped the puck, and the other guy in the Sault Ste. Marie like turned it over in front of the net, and yeah, they scored. Or the guy scored for Barry. I don't know if it was counted as an assist or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like once again, with Kashawn, in regards to Kashawn Aitcheson, I would say, um, I don't want to sound this in a bad way. I think he's a little bit of like a Ben Sherratt, but with like more offense.
I was just
I only say the Ben Sherratt aspect because he's really physical and like I want to say a larger than life type of character,
yeah.
which that's what I like about him. Like I saw like a little fight once. It was London against Barry. It was like him and Denver Barkey were going at it at the penalty box, which I thought was pretty funny.
So I have a question. Would you say his ceiling is like a bench route with more offense, and like what would be like his like lowest ceiling, I guess?
I think maybe. Well, I don't really like to do player comparisons when it comes to prospects, but I think I would say his ceiling could be like a pretty good second pair defenseman who could
That's
be
good.
probably second on a power play. I would say bottom would be like third pair, maybe the anchor guy
Hmm.
who can throw big hits. Because I definitely think that there's a place in the NHL for someone who can bring that physicality. Like I said with Ben Sherratt, like I thought he was been kind of pretty decent. These past couple of seasons with Detroit, as in the aspect of like he's been able to bring in a couple big hits here and there, and
He's not a bad skater either.
yeah, and
He's gotten
just
better
also
over
kind of
time.
yeah, and kind of like stepping into fight with fights, and that's what I think Aitchison could do. And if I think if Iserman really wants this kid, I would probably maybe trade down a little bit just because
I was gonna
I don't
ask
know if
that.
he's like set in stone as a top 15 guy. Like I would also like I would kind of like would like to see maybe Aitcheson be drafted by like a maybe a contender team because I think he still needs more room to grow. Like um I don't know how much longer he could stay in Barry because he has a late birthday. Cause so he's gonna turn like 19 in September. So I
Right.
would say maybe like another
Wait.
season.
So does that mean if he's like older than can he be in the AHL next year?
Um,
He
or I
probably
don't
have to
think
be
he's like
eligible for another.
Danielson. I think
Hmm.
he was like Danielson. 'Cause, Danielson played his D+1 and like Brandon and
Yeah, that's right.
Portland, and then he
Like
went to
he's
the
a
AHL.
like he's able to, but like after that he's done, kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I forgot like the CHL rules with that, but yeah, I thought it'd be interesting if like a contender team drafts him, kind of a little bit like EJ Emery last year. But I think with Kashawn Aitcheson, he has more offense than like an EJ Emery. Like what I really like about him is his one timer. I think it definitely shows, in how sometimes he could play on the right side,
Right.
and kind of like in Hut, I'd have my D on opposite sides to do that one timer.
That's
I
accurate.
I have a quick question. So with him, obviously, you're very high on him. With especially like if the Wings were to get him, what other teams would you say would be like a good fit contender wise, like in that range of 20?
Um, I kind of forgot who's drafting back there. Well,
Just
I
like
know
all
like,
like teams, I suppose.
or yeah, like I mean, Corey Promet today just said he'd have, or he has us drafting Kashawn Aitcheson.
Oh,
Hmm.
So I mean, like I've seen a lot of him, a lot of mocks going to the Rangers or
I could see
like the
that.
Sabers, but I think Mirko
Like
would be better for the Sabers maybe.
so like a later like lottery team to early playoff like exit.
Um, I think I would say so. Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
but I mean, once again, I'll probably be maybe a little bit cautious with Aitcheson. Like I'm a little bit more higher with other D-men like Blake Fiddler, Mertka, and Jackson Smith. But I mean, yeah, I really hope he like pans out in the NHL because there's obviously aspects I like about him. His like kind of character, even though he could be like kind of an ass to play against, kind of.
Not a bad thing.
But
Hmm.
yeah,
You need
one of
that
those.
intensity.
Yeah.
Or-
Okay. So my final question, I don't know if Keegan mentioned this or touched up on it, but I kind of wanted to mention it. Zach, what would you do? And this is going to be for every prospect preview. Zach, how would you feel if the Red Wings drafted him, and what do you think he could be for the Red Wings' future?
Well, I mean, once again, I would be kind of a little bit eager when we draft if we draft him, but like I would I kind of said this a little bit already. I would prefer if we traded down
Yeah,
than
agreed.
draft him. Once again, like I said, I like the other D or whatever. But I mean, yeah, like he's in some way he's a little bit part of what we're building with Iserman because like we just got Brandsegg Nygaard last year, who's um a, a good forechecker and heavy hitter, and I think maybe we want to build that tall defense. Like we got Evanson Sider, and we got Axel. Well, he's mostly on the defense or offensive side of things, and with
Right.
Aitchison, he might chip in those a little bit of those parts of the of those aspects.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, or yeah, like I could see Aitchison working. What we like to do with our prospects, we like to set them, or we like to let them wait a little bit, and I think that would be perfect for Aitchison. And like, there's no rush to have him up in the NHL when it comes to our like pool system.
Right.
Agreed. All right, so that was the prospect profile of Kashawn Aitcheson. Again, we will have these prospect profiles up until every episode leading up to the draft. We will have every prospect that I think we all can agree on will be in the Red Wings range and potentially the Red Wings will pick. Correct me if I'm wrong. We have 7, 8 more weeks until the draft.
Whenever June 29th is, I guess.
So it's 29th or is it 27th?
I think it's the 27th.
Oh wait, yeah, maybe.
It is the 27th.
Yeah, it's that Thursday, my bad. Or
Friday.
Yeah.
So we'll probably have 5 or 6 more prospect profiles coming out. But yeah, with all that, Zach, thank you again. Next Gen Prospects is his Instagram. Go make sure you follow it. Covers all the prospects within the team, within the NHL draft, and everything in between. So make sure to go give him a follow. And with that being said, guys, that'll cover all our sections for episode 8 of the Hockey in the 313 podcast. Again, a little bit of a later episode, but was out of town for the weekend. I had to make sure to get an episode out, though. I also have graduation this week, so we'll see where it kind of lands out.
Congrats, buddy.
Thank you. We'll see where this lands out on uploading the episode. But until then, we will get back into the normal schedule. Might be a little bit delayed. If need be, guys, we could probably run an episode on Sunday, too, if you guys want.
That's fine.
Just to get back. But yeah, until then, guys, thank you for listening to episode 8 of the Hockey in the 313 podcast. Again, I'm one of your hosts, Brian Donnelly, joined by Zach, Keegan, and Dayton. And with that, hope you have a great rest of your night, everyone. And with that being said, let's go Red Wings.